I can't believe I have to explain Juneteenth to some people. Well, actually, I can believe it. But anyhow, let's go with it. I'm author Gwen Elise Clayton, and I love culture. I love history. I love seeing people happy. I love art. I love to celebrate. I'll be honest with you. Any excuse I have to celebrate, I'm probably going to roll with it. So that is why when I first learned about Juneteenth a few years ago, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. This is so cool, because I've been thinking to myself that I don't know of anything specific to African Americans that celebrate their contribution to American history and American culture. I mean, yeah, we have Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but I love to go to Ren fairs and historical reenactment places, and I love to watch the Townsend's YouTube channel, which, fun fact, it's produced about 30 minutes from Fort Wayne, where I live, in a little town called Pierceton in Indiana. It is so cool, and I actually got to meet John Townsend himself. It was really cool. But the only thing that he can talk about on his channel, which has to do with 18th century cooking and 18th century living history, the only thing African Americans get to celebrate is the enslaved community, which, granted, it was the enslaved community that gave us so much wonderful music, and it was the enslaved community that gave us barbecued food and a lot of other things. But I don't know. I would rather celebrate people being free and celebrate liberty and celebrate victory over tyranny. And that's what Juneteenth is. And so I really don't see why people are poo-pooing it the way they are. So let me give you a brief rundown of the timeline of Juneteenth. April 12th, 1861, the American Civil War started. September 22nd, 1862, President Abraham Lincoln signs the Emancipation Proclamation. January 1st, 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation takes effect. January 31st, 1865, Congress passes the 13th Amendment, outlawing chattel slavery. Then we come to April 19th, 1865, is when the Civil War ends. But slaves in Texas did not get their freedom until June 19th, 1865, when a messenger was actually able to avoid getting killed long enough to reach Texas, which was the last state to still have slaves. And then finally, the 13th Amendment outlawing chattel slavery was ratified December 6th by the state of Georgia, which gave Congress the 2/3 of the states needed to pass it. And then finally, on June 17th, 2021, President Joe Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law. Now, I've heard conservatives say, well, this is just a token that Biden is doing to appease the Marxist left and the Marxist this and the socialist that. And I'm just shaking my head going, no, that's not what this is about at all. I was watching a black conservative on YouTube yesterday, and she was saying it does nothing to solve the problems of gun violence and domestic violence and poverty and crime in black communities. And I'm like, okay, point taken. But then I have my liberal friend, again, saying it's just a token. It doesn't give reparations. It doesn't defund the police. And it doesn't go far enough. Then I have my white friend saying, well, am I allowed to celebrate Juneteenth? What do I say to black people on Juneteenth? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Am I even allowed to be part of this? And this is my take. Juneteenth deserves to be celebrated as Black Independence Day, and it's something that everyone should celebrate. It is an important part of American history. And I'm going to celebrate. Well, I celebrated it the last 2 years. Juneteenth is, I've been in a funk. Last year, I was recovering from surgery, and this year I'm dealing with my sister's memorial service and everything and stuff. So, but there was a lot going on in the Fort Wayne community for Juneteenth, and I definitely, God, I hope nothing comes up next year that will prevent me from it, but it's a celebration of culture. It's a celebration of happiness. And like I said before, it's victory over tyranny, and it's celebration of liberty and freedom, which is what America is all about. So it's an American holiday. All Americans should celebrate it. It's for everyone, just as much as the 4th of July. You don't have to be of English national origin to celebrate the 4th of July. And I don't think you need to be African American to celebrate Juneteenth. It's an important day in this country's history. So a couple things that I want to bring up. I mentioned earlier Townsend's, which is really into historical reenactment. Well, Indiana also has a place called Freetown Village. It's in Indianapolis, and it is a living history reenactment of African American cultures. And that's definitely on my bucket list. I want to go check that out someday. And they had something going on June 19th this year. And I will leave a link in the description below of how you can reach their website. And I also wanted to promote some friends of mine, some writer friends. Since I'm an author, I wanted to celebrate some Black authors, 2 of whom are local to Fort Wayne, and I have met them in real life. One happens to be a very good friend of mine, and another one I met at a author book signing event at the local library. So the first author I want to talk about is my girlfriend, Yolanda Naylor. She is so awesome. I love her. She wrote The Truth About Your Health, and she talks about how nutrition affects your cellular health and your family history and your environmental lifestyle. And it's a really good book to get you in the mindset to eat healthy, to be active, and she's really into promoting health. So this is Yolanda, and I have to say Yolanda because it's Y-A, not Y-O. So Yolanda. And the other one is my friend L.A. Sky. She writes romance, and it has explicit language and content. Better be careful. But this book I just ordered. I haven't read this yet. I will. As soon as I finish this other book that I'm reading. But this is called Tomorrow. And I think this came out in 2018. Should have prepared better. Yeah, 2018. And I believe she's self-published. Is it self-published? Yeah. L.A. Sky is her name. And I will leave a link in the description below for both of these authors. And then I'm part of a book club, and we have a book of the month that we read every month, surprisingly. And so we've read, and I want to say just since January, maybe? No, since last year, we've read a bunch of books from Black authors. We recently, for the June meeting, it was Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. And this was a good book. This was a really good book. I liked this book because it was a good lesson on perspective and how, well, really a lot on white savior complex and how people have their own minds and their own agency. And when they tell you something you need to respect what they ask of you. So, and some other things. There's a whole bunch of lessons in this book. So, such a fun age. Kylie Reed, Reed, I think it's Reed. So go with that. And then on my Kindle, I'm just going to show you this one. I don't think this fourth one. We have 3 of them. We have The New Jim Crow, Our Time Is Now by Stacey Abrams. The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, Our Time Is Now by Stacey Abrams, and Wow, No Thank You by Samantha Irby. All 3 of them are Black women. And it's good perspective. And one of the things that I love about reading is it gives you a perspective from someone who's not like you. And I get to have this inside knowledge of a different culture, a different worldview, and it helps give me empathy, and it helps educate me into what I can do, or just how I can just understand people better. So I love to read, and these are really good books that I highly recommend. And I probably have more books on my bookshelf that are from Black authors, but I either don't know they're Black, or I don't know they're Black. But that's probably where I'm going with this. Anyhow, I want to wish everyone a happy Juneteenth. It's belated, but I come out on Tuesdays, so happy Juneteenth, everyone. And remember to always celebrate freedom and culture and history. I'll see you next Tuesday with another thrilling edition of the Rivervine YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.